Hello everybody and welcome back to Space Engineers. Today we're going to be taking a look at the ONRC Mainstay class armoured cruiser built by Omega, who is here to kindly take us around the ship today, give us a little bit of an insight and do a little bit of an interior tour, and overall just talk us through this beautiful cruiser we have here.
Hello,
so Omega, do you want to do a little bit of an intro into the faction and that's sort of the idea behind these ships you're going to be creating for us?
Yeah, of course. So the ONRC stands for Olympus Naval Retrofits and Construction. Basically, it's a faction in my lore that retrofits old colony ships that were sent to the new system after we cocked up the old Sol system, and they're converted into new warships to help keep the peace, so to speak. So this one in particular is an armored cruiser, as Lunar has said, and the idea was there is a faction my friends made called the SMI, and this is meant to gut and hunt their ships down because they are in a bit of a dispute with us, and this was actually the primary it was the sort of main first warship that actually was built specifically to go and hunt them down and make sure that they weren't invading us or going anywhere near our ore deposits.
Yeah, so just to sort of defend resources and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Any sort of inspiration for the ship?
Yeah, so a couple. The main design language was inspired by the Halo UNSC ships, as many of you have probably seen. The thrust background, the back, was inspired by many of the Expanse ships, specifically the sort of bigger, clunkier UN ones. And the main overall shape, specifically these rings, if any of you ever played Astroneer, there is this first big mothership that you spawn on called the LREV, I believe, and the rings are inspired by that. I did want to make them spin originally, but it was really sort of messing with it, and I just couldn't get it to work. But you sort of get the idea anyway.
Yeah, that would have been a completely different ballpark.
Yeah.
Am I smelling a little bit of Canterbury in the engine pack?
Yeah, actually, yeah. The sort of big blockiness and the sort of framing around it, yeah.
Yeah, like the arms.
A lot of the exposed piping too. It was very industrial. That's something I definitely want to get across on this. This isn't some sort of luxurious vessel that's like top of the line or anything. This is an old, definitely sort of inspired by Navy stuff that we sort of see today, sort of only the sort of basic needs, if you know what I mean.
Something I particularly like is, obviously you said it was modified to be a warship. It wasn't originally a warship. And you can see in these panels here that have just been added on, like these obviously wouldn't have been here before, these spaced armor panels that you've added.
No. There's actually a whole section on that. I've like added a few data pads inside, and it actually goes over specific parts to the of retrofits, and that is one of them. These sort of big armor panels that have been slapped on to help protect the artillery turrets and sort of general different mounts. These new pads I've got over here were actually originally just more hydrogen storage. There's a whole story behind it if you want to go see that when it's released.
So is the idea to carry fighters or interceptors on these?
Yeah, so on these it's just any kind of small grid vessel. I tried to do so heavy fighters specifically, or you could have gunships or anything you basically need. I did try to have stuff like little small fast attack crafts, but they just wouldn't fit. Maybe you guys have got like a smaller thing that you could put there, but I couldn't find one that I'd made. So yeah, just heavy fighters, dropships if you needed. Typically interceptors might be quite useful because there's not exactly the best PDC array on this thing. As you can probably see, it's more focused on hitting the capital ships and other large vessels that would be directly confronting these ships.
So I haven't spotted any, but have you got any rotor guns on this? Or any
No, I
custom
haven't.
turrets? No.
No, I haven't. I wanted to keep it fairly survival ready. Obviously, it's hard to be survival ready when this thing has 44,000 PCU and a bunch of DLC. But I didn't want to make it too overcomplicated and have all these different rotors and stuff that might affect the sort of steering of it, if you know what I mean. Because I already have quite a lot of gyros in this thing for not the best maneuverability, so if I added rotors to it, it might sort of muck that up even more.
Yeah, it's probably best to keep it simple, isn't it? And that's more or less what you've sort of described. What it sounds like is just a sort of blunt-fisted, almost like a knuckle duster of a ship that's supposed to just dive in and just brawl with ships, opposed to, like, you know, having like finesse and firing arcs and stuff. This thing just says fuck it, armor, guns. There we go.
Yeah, because it's converted, there really was no space to sort of think about, okay, what can we add that's super firing? It really is just a case of, yep, we've got space there, put a gun on it, or put some more armor on it. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
And I really hope that's sort of shown in the way I've done the design language.
It does look absolutely gorgeous, I have to say.
Thanks.
So do you want to give us a little bit of a walk around now the interior? I'll let you choose where we head in from.
Let's, I would say, portside docking bay.
This one here?
Where are you?
Is this not the docking bay? Oh,
that one.
This one. Right, okay.
Right, in we go.
You can never have too many airlocks, am I right?
Yes. As you can see, we've got the friendly old gun if you were not very nice and you want to enter the ship with your grinders. Armory, card container, air vent, all the stuff you need for your airlock.
This is a perfect... I've just got to say, this is a perfect airlock. Like, people often don't use interior turrets on interiors, but they are like... A lot of time you'll be trying to capture a ship and you just won't even expect there to be interior turrets.
Yeah, it did cross my mind just to use like the simple 2 sliding door combination, but I realized, you know, I have the space. It's a massive cruiser. We can put in a proper airlock. We can actually sort of make it feel realistic, and we can keep it defended.
I do love a good airlock because you've got cargo access right here, so you don't have to actually go into the ship. You can just open that door, grab some components, go back out, or you can grab a gun. Whatever you want to grab from here. The vents here to make sure you pressurise the... it's just a good airlock.
Yeah, thank you.
Just have to point that out.
So these are somewhat important, and yes, the nice view of the windows. These are obviously if your little... if it gets shot out, because obviously it's windows and it's light armor, it's not that well protected, you want these to just close so you've pressurised, you're safe, you're not going to choke and die in the middle of a battle.
Ooh. Windows, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They were originally like portholes, but I just felt it was a bit too repetitive, and I really did just love the original decorative pack one. They were just better in my opinion.
Yeah.
So coming forward, these are the flight decks, and these are my overcomplicated way of accessing all those different sort of connection ports for the fighters that you saw earlier. So I'll only show you around a couple of them, otherwise we're going to be here all day. But got this one, which is just your standard. I also, it's on the script, so you can't actually vent the whole ship, and it just takes you outside. If we come back in, it's just, as you've probably seen, your standard interior. There wasn't an interior turret I could fit in here, so instead I just put one on the outside, of the side ones at least. Right, take us back down. Same's down through that bay below us. And also on the opposite starboard side.
Very nice, very nice.
Come through. You can also see... Ooh. You can also see the good hunting LCDs I put up, just to give it a bit more life. Just show you this one too. It's pretty much the exact same thing. Obviously these ones are a lot nicer to reach because it's not all vertical.
Yeah, you can just walk straight out, and you've got a little turret there defending the airlock.
Yeah. Obviously you want to make sure no hydromanning's going on. Right. I'll take us back to where the magic happens, so to speak. Oh yeah, shit. That's just the lower decks. So that's just where you'd those are just the lower pads. So over here. So we have in here your standard medibay and sort of barracks. Obviously, in lore, you'd have way more people actually crewing it. I'd say about 50 to 60 maybe. But obviously, you have to take some liberties. You can't just put 50 to 60 beds. You can't even... It's just ridiculous at that point, so...
Yeah, I mean, people can hot bunk anyway. Like, you can just...
Yeah.
Share a bed, but...
Yeah, but... Yeah. Nothing really special in here. It's just standard one. You got your clock, so you know the time. Not that that even matters out in deep space. Let's go down here, I guess. Something I often forget to put on large ships, especially cruisers, is refining and assembling. So these are just that, really. Refineries and assemblers, standard ones with 3 module setups. I couldn't add 4, but I thought 3's better than nothing, so...
Oh man, I'm a sucker for passageways around, like, accessing, like, refineries and stuff, and then you've got the catwalks in the floor with the pipes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yo.
As industrial as I could possibly make it. There's a button panel here if you want to, like, turn it off, on and off, just for immersion, I guess. And I had literally nothing else to put there.
Nice use of the passage lights there as well. And a little vent in the corner there.
Yeah, I was trying to make them as sort of sneaky as possible, just so you didn't have to be, well, constantly have ones that are sticking out. Just, I don't know, I can never find a good spot. This is auxiliary power, aka just like where you would go if the bridge was shot out to control your ship. You got hydrogen engines, extra batteries, assembler, and extra control.
I think people underestimate having a secondary power generation facility on a ship, because it's like when you play survival, it's definitely something like sometimes you need to kick on just a bit more power, or maybe even you could have it running on auxiliary power only if you were just like cruising.
Yeah, the good thing about this is obviously this kind of ship can't be on a planet, so you can literally just have it. So I guess it's hard burning, so you can just like dampeners off, go full burn, and then just get to your destination as and when you need to. And for that, you might not even need the large reactors. You can just turn on the hydrogen engines. Ooh.
Oh no!
Right, so obviously the reactor room. Got a welder to make sure it keeps repaired. Got so you can walk all the way around. Jump drives. Come down this way. I'll just show you downwards first.
I didn't even see that. Jump drives. Oh, down between the reactors.
Follow me. Sorry, I forget you need to actually look around and show people.
Yeah, I'm giving him a little. What's with the sort of paint scheme you were going for here?
Okay.
I've just noticed you've got these little hexagons on it.
Yeah, so the idea behind that was it's mainly for the conveyor piping that you see overhead. It's basically if the lights for whatever reason were off, it's more from a lore standpoint. If the lights were for whatever reason off, these sort of glow in the dark, so you can actually see where you're going just by looking up at the conveyor pipelines. It's a bit like I think it's when you're on a plane and there's ever like an emergency and there's smoke and stuff. There's literally like these glow in the dark little arrow signs. It's basically
like they pulse down towards exits and stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Except
we don't pulse them to exits. We pulse them to battle stations because you die with the ship.
Exactly.
We will not have surrender. No retreat. No surrender. Gravity and projector room, obviously always important. This little button here turns gravity off. Turns it back on. Increase and decrease the acceleration.
Oh, we're upside down now. You don't see gravity rooms a lot, but they are always really cool when they are implemented. Yeah,
I just again just had the room space and thought, you know, let's go all out here. Add a gravity generator instead of just sort of sticking it in a random corner or something.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. So we'll go back and let's do the bridge first.
Oh, there are heat vents here. as
Oh
well.
yeah, there are heat vents here. I forgot about those, to be honest. Yeah, it's just if for whatever reason you were working here and you actually got to see this thing go on the sort of higher end of power, yeah, you can see the heat vents go off. Actually, yeah, let's do armor first. So, standard armory. I wanted console blocks so you could give people a briefing. Yeah, so it's armory crossed with briefing room. You can all sort of gather around it, get your weapons, do all that. If there's a mission and you got commandos who are gonna go up on the gunships or something, turn on projections. You know the drill with that.
I mean, that is literally perfect for a cruiser. Like, I can't even planning out a mission and stuff and having a brief. That is Spitz cruisers right there.
Yeah, it's the cruiser is the ship you do it on, if any.
Yeah, exactly. Like they all fly over to this one and have a big briefing and be like, "This is what we're doing."
Yeah. So, so this is just stern access. If you follow me around here first before we go down to El server room.
Oh, is this side different?
Yes, this side is different. This side is the mess hall with the fancy wood. It's not much of a mess hall, but you know, it's you make do with what you got. I know it's right next to the nuclear reactor that could go critical at any moment, but you need to get your food somewhere. So
at least your food will be warm.
Yes, at least your food will be warm. The rest of the ship may also be warm because it's on fire, but at least your food's warm. Yeah, not much really in here is decoration. You could, like, if you were in survival, you could swap it out with something else.
I do think it's definitely a cool feature to have.
Yeah, I just didn't want to sort of go. I wanted to have it just so that, you know, every good cruiser needs a mess hall.
Yeah, exactly. Got to fill the space.
Exactly. I had a big list of all the rooms I was going to have, and somehow I forgot the toilets. I need to add one before I publish this thing.
You should.
Somehow.
Why did you tell
them? Good point.
There are toilets. You can shit in the cryopods or something.
Yep, that will be added to the lore. So, the crowning jewel, the bridge, very utilitarian. It's not meant to be very grandiose or anything. It's got the control panels that you and your crew would need. You got the standard flight seat helm. You got the floor plan script, just to tell you any damage that's happened to your ship. Although, to be honest, every time I've used that, it seems to misrepresent or not quite tell you the information in time. If you've ever used that and half your ship is gone, and it's still like, oh no, we've still got most of the ship.
I haven't had any combat experience with it yet, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think the audience will know what I'm on about. Standard co-pilot seat and your flight seat here. Obviously, it's more based for. I wanted to add a helm, but you actually told me about this earlier, and I did agree with you. It just felt a bit better if it was like a proper sort of solid seat. And I do agree, and it is pretty universal that it's actually a bridge.
Well, it is a very utilitarian. It's like it's hammered in the center of the ship. It's going to be pretty hard to get at. Sort of bridge. So I think it definitely works for the type of ship this is.
Yeah, the original design did actually have a front bridge. I can actually show you that a bit later. But I didn't really want to keep that on the armored cruiser just because it didn't fit in very well with the lore. The whole idea of this ship is it's an unmanned freighter sent eons in advance so that the sort of pioneers, when they eventually arrive, can use it for supplies. But it doesn't make a lot of sense that there's just a front bridge there.
Yeah.
At least not to me. It's just, So I decided. Also, it's a lot of easy bear things. Captain's quarters, because of course, you need every captain needs one. You got your jukebox, you got your bar, you got your interior turret in case you need to, in case anyone needs to be sort of reprimanded or fired or disappeared. You've also got your survival kit. Just, I don't know, if you're in survival and you needed to get to the bridge pretty fast, you could just turn that on and bam, you're in the bridge. No having to go through the reactor first and going up the passageways. Yeah. very useful. We've also got
Ah, yes, the most important feature.
of course,
Fun music.
good ship can't function without it. Of course, I can't function too well with it, so let's continue. The final part is probably the server room, which I haven't showed you yet. Alright, we have teleported back. Right, if you follow me down here, go around the reactor. So we have the server room. So the current scripts I'm using are the Whip's Auto Dose scripts, as you've probably seen, the floor plan that you've probably also seen, and the salvo script for the bow-mounted rocket launchers, which I'll maybe test for you in a bit, I guess. That just goes back to the stern access.
Oh yeah.
I've just realized we've got a wooden floor above us, which is 100% super secure. If we continue forward where you're going, this is underneath the reactor, more protection, and just sort of gyroscopes if you need to weld them back up in an emergency. Just everything's on fire, big hole in the ship, everything's burning, everything's exploding. You need to get to the reactor, you need to get to the gyro room. Well, bam, here's your room.
That was a passionate explanation for the room.
Yeah, it was a passionate excuse to why I couldn't just put a welder.
Right.
That about sums up the interior. Is it alright if I just show them the salvo script?
Yeah, yeah.
Action,
You go ahead, get in the seat.
And it's really just for sort of opening barrage, I guess. The gyros aren't too powerful, but if you've got a big target, you might as well have that sort of forward firepower. I didn't want to add a railgun because, one, I sort of felt like it conflicted with the whole idea of the faction. I don't imagine them usually being able to have such a powerful weapon. And two, the ship just seemed so large and so unmaneuverable that I was unsure you could even get an opening shot off with a railgun. You need to be quite precise with that sort of thing.
Don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly sure if you're close range and you unload that, it's going to do more damage than a single railgun shot. Like in the amount of time that it takes to recharge a railgun, you can hit them with God knows how many rockets, and you're probably going to do a lot more damage, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah. Oldest way is always the best. But yes, that sums up that. Do you want to come in the bridge and just have a maneuver it, show the people that?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a little spin.
Yeah, so they got an idea of how fast, or rather how slow it is. It's just that flight seat next to me.
Let's have a little whip here. So turning, I'd say it's probably below what I'd expect from a cruiser, but this is an armoured cruiser, like you say, and it's a retrofitted ship.
I don't have enough space for the gyros.
Let's give this a little bit of a thrust test here. That's definitely acceptable for a cruiser, I'd say.
Yeah, I kind of found I had originally only ions because I was going off the whole trip of, oh, if I had hydrogen tanks, it's going to explode, and the new sort of things they had in the cinematics looked pretty cool, and they were only ions, but I felt it needed to be a bit more maneuverable, and that is also in the lore about it, which is, you can find that on a datapad somewhere hidden in the ship.
Omega?
Yeah?
Where's the reverse thrust?
Oh,
because is it where I think it is?
It might be.
No.
In fairness, you can see the reverse thrusters from the outside. It's just I've slightly hidden them, maybe, so they might technically be considered interior thrust.
You know what? Fair enough. There are thrusters on the outside, so I'm going to give you a pass. And it reverses pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah, one of the main goals was to make sure that the reversing thrust didn't take absolute years. I wanted you to be able to sort of burn forward and pull it back if need be. Just, you know, I feel like it's a semi-big sort of flaw with some ships I have where the reverse thrust is really, really not that good. So this is the first sort of basic layout I gave it. This is when I was sort of deciding proportions, and really sort of deciding, right, how many thrusters do I want, where do I want the turrets to go, and it's where I sort of decided, right, I'm going to do this ring thing here. And I love doing this, by the way, because what it means is, if you fuck it up, and I did actually fuck it up, and I can show you that in a bit, you can always just go right back to this frame and just go, right, start again, put the armor on it again, and then you can sort of just work from there. It's always a good sort of reference point to go, right, I liked this, I can just go back to this and do that again.
Why are some bits red?
That I would love to give you a really elaborate thing, which was like, oh, that represents that certain type of thrust and blah blah blah. But really, it's just because I originally had it in a sort of grey, red, grey, red, grey, red, and then I just forgot to switch over from the blocks to actually represent that.
Oh right, fair enough.
Cards on the table, I forgot. I had a lot of windows, as you can see. A very initial idea was that you could actually have spherical gravity and you could sort of walk around the sides and stuff, which would have been, again, pretty complicated, which is why I sort of scrapped it. You got the front bridge, which was something I like to do on a lot of my ships, if you've seen them before. But again, as I said, I really didn't think that fit the whole idea of an armored cruiser. And it didn't fit the whole lore of it being an unmanned cargo freighter to begin with. So I scrapped that. It's got the early layout. I actually did I changed the gun positioning around a lot. This is before I did the hydrogen thrust. It's just less polished, really.
I think it still looks good, and it does look aggressive. I love these little emplacements at the front, by the way, with these artillery guns. They look really well built in there.
Yeah.
Not just sort of slapped on. They look like they're actually sort of fortified in there. Same with these cannons, really, on the little pedestals and everything.
Yeah. You can see on the actual design I went with that I actually made them go out one bit more. Yeah. Just to make sure that they could definitely hit their target, and just because it was more elaborate. But yeah, those are the two designs I've worked with. As you can see, there was a lot missing. There wasn't those external conveyor pipings, no docking ports, absolutely no interior. It was really just to sort of see if it actually was going to work. And as you can see, I ended up with what we have over there.
Well, thanks for coming on today, Omega. Thanks for taking us around your ship.
Yep, pleasure.
If you guys want to check out this ship, you can so in the description down below. There'll be a link to the workshop page for the ship. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe to support the channel, and as always, take care, everybody.